The first thing you'll see in Planet Patrol are red enemy drones to shoot down and enemy missiles to dodge. And stay in the top 3 lanes. Only rarely will you find missiles in all 3 lanes simultaneously.
Just shy of a year ago, I released a video on the Spectra Video Compumate, a keyboard add-on for the 2600 that essentially transformed the console into an 8-bit computer. Of course, you can check out that video if you would like to know more. Go on, you're allowed to. But that directly leads into the focus of this video, Planet Patrol, released in 1982. Why? Well, I recently found this in a second-hand store among a handful of other 2600 titles. Incidentally, it was the cheapest one there, but what really caught my attention was the Spectra Vision logo on the label. Not Spectra Video, but Spectra Vision, the old name for the company. Spectra Vision had to change its name in 1982 because it conflicted, with all things, a hotel TV system of the same name. Different times. Since Planet Patrol has a copyright of 1982 printed on the label, it must have been super close to the name change. My Compumate has 1983 dates plastered all over it, so it is interesting to have examples of both. I think. I don't know why this sort of thing excites me. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. This is a game from 1982. While there is a bit more going on here than I initially first expected, it does get somewhat basic in a timely fashion. Having said that, however, I do admire the attention to detail in the manual. While the game box itself is a bit unassuming, advertising features such as bonus points and hand-drawn artwork that looks nothing like the graphics, the cover of the manual throws you right into the game world. Attention all pilots, all leaves have been cancelled. Okay, Spectra or whatever you were called that year, you have my interest. It goes on to state that the planet Spectra has been invaded by TIAs, which of course stand for Troublesome Invading Aliens. Definitely not Television Interface Adapter, the chip in the 2600 responsible for video, sound and input. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. The goal is to destroy all the enemy bases controlled by TIA scum and rescue other pilots who have been stranded by the invasion. I also enjoyed the references to something called laser films in the manual because on the same day from the same shop I purchased this game, I also purchased the cheap half-working Laserdisc player. Stay tuned to maybe watch that get repaired in a future video. Let's now look into how Planet Patrol plays. Starting the game, you're thrown right into the action. No lengthy cutscenes here, although that would be strange in a nearly 40-year-old game. The first section aims to destroy as many drone missiles as possible while avoiding the heat-seeking torpedoes, which are conveniently indestructible. After a while, one of the stranded pilots will show up, so it's important to fly right into them rather than shooting them like another example of TIA filth. Don't shoot your mate. You'll get a bonus if you successfully rescue them. Once you have or haven't dogged your comrade, you will approach 3 enemy bases. Destroy all 3 before you pass a force field and they will spectacularly explode. But here comes the tricky part, maneuvering your way through the debris of destruction you just caused. If you hit even a tiny fragment, the level will reset. I struggled with this section the most. The debris field is always different, seemingly randomly generated, which I do appreciate for a game of this vintage, but I found it way too hard most times to move quickly enough using the 2600 joystick. The collision parameters are also not very forgiving. Maybe I'm just getting old, but it's such a quick and sudden way to miss out on the rest of the game. After surviving the debris, it's time to refuel. This part seems kinda thrown in since it's ultimately a bit pointless. Yes, you do have limited fuel that runs out throughout your flying, but you're given the choice of refueling every single time you destroy the enemy bases. While you can just fly right over the landing strip if you want, completing the landing is as simple as flying into the black strip and waiting for a novelty-sized truck to approach you. You can do this every time you fly past, and the game doesn't penalize you whatsoever. So, what's the point? You're never going to worry about running out of fuel. Anyway, once you're topped up, it's time for Night Patrol. Yes, once you fly to the dark side of the planet, the game takes on a whole new twist. Suddenly, you can't see. It's dark. Luckily, you have your Sulfur Seeker Night Sight. This translates into the screen only being lit up when you fire, making things quite a bit more difficult. It's a cool spin on things because if you survive the night, the sun will slowly raise and it's time to do the whole shebang again. The life as a humble Spectra pilot. As you can imagine, this series of events will loop over and over with the enemies getting quicker and quicker. The game either ends when you lose 4 lives, or the score reaches 999,999 points, on which the Atari explodes by the most brutal syntax error ever. Overall, Planet Patrol plays okay. The controls can be a bit unresponsive, although that could be due to my joystick since it's probably about 3 decades overdue for servicing. Also, I'm not sure where else to fit it in for this review, but isn't it odd that you fly from right to left? Not that there is anything inherently wrong with that, but I'm so used to the reverse. Interesting. Also, let's take a minute to appreciate this wonderfully unique cartridge. Custom molding, Spectravision logo and boast with cool patterns, and, most uniquely, a thumb grip. This was pointed out to me in an ancient classic game room episode I found. Ah, we miss you, Mark. And I wonder who WT was. I bet they're about 80 years old by now. Hope you're enjoying retirement, W. While there isn't a lot of information about Planet Patrol online, someone on Atari Mania has uploaded a wealth of documentation and video. The videos are what I showed at the start, include a very loud Japanese advert, although that's for more games than Planet Patrol, and a very dry marketing video on how the game plays. It shows nothing but gameplay for its entire length, but randomly shows one very short 2-second jump cut of what appears to be a kid playing in front of a fireplace. 1. Why even bother filming and inserting such a clip only once and briefly? And 2. What's glowing to make his face so red? There's hardly any red tones in the game at all. Is he the kid who programmed Planet Patrol? Because as far as my research went, it was a mystery. There's no mention of the names either in the manual or anywhere that I could find online. What else can I talk about? Well, here's a random fact. According to Atari Age, there's a hack based on this game called Borg Patrol. Although, I'm only really mentioning that because I'm a big Trekkie fan, especially when it comes to Voyager and TNG. Yep. Reviewing games this old is hard, which is why I haven't done it in years. A combination of my passing interest in Spectra video and finally having a 2600 with a working composite mod spurred this video on, and I'm very thankful to you if you've watched this far in. So, outro time. While this is far from Planet Poo-Troll, it is indeed a game of its time. Go into it expecting a game from 1982 and you might be pleasantly surprised. The diverse nature of how the gameplay progresses is nice, and yes, your spaceship has a shadow. That's nice too. Thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next video.